it is kind of awesome to see this Farseer with 28 plus damage. Wow, okay, we just have to ooh and ah over the Farseer auto attacks. So much damage. Uh-oh, now we reach terminal mass. These grunts had a death sentence the moment the Griffin Averys were built and not answered for. But, you know, there are still riflemen to kill. My Tauren knows this. Hello and welcome to another Nick Oldhead video. And we are going to talk about the Paladin Rifle strategy. And particularly what Orc players, you know, just your run-of-the-mill, working salt of the earth orcs can do versus this strategy, right? Now, I understand Starbuck and, you know, Lynn, they have this really incredible aggressive approach with headhunters, and you're going to see some of that here. I try to emulate all styles of currently effective Paladin Rifle builds as Orc, but I just want to talk over, I guess, the decision making during that process, right? So, you know, as we start the game here, you see I'm going Farseer, right? Now, Farseer, that standard hero, you want to summon the wolves on your way there so you get ticks of the mana regen, but more importantly, so the cooldown on a Feral Spirits is ticking down, right? This is a grunt opener, not a headhunter opener, because sometimes you just don't know if they're going to go Paladin Rifles or just an expansion militia creeping. This is kind of a build where if they are going Archmage militia creeping, we'll have a pretty powerful lineup with the Grunt and the Farseer. But it turns out this is a Paladin Rifle opponent. So take note what we're trying to do here, right? Versus Paladin Rifle, it's about split a damage, you know? So you see how this wolf here is doing damage to that a peasant, and the moment I see my Paladin Rifle opponent attempt to go over, you know, you kind of put pressure. So you also don't want wolves to die, so you have to micro them away every chance you get. Now, this wolf would die if the paladins had long rifles, but that's the thing, is they don't. So because the Paladin Rifle player does not have long rifles yet, it means this early stage of the game is where you can do kind of the most damage. So, you know, the Grunt here is a little outclassed. One Grunt versus three rifles. As you see, he's just always getting peppered. But it's important, though, that he's here because, you know, when the wolves are getting a micro, the Grunt can get in, right? And when the Grunt's getting hit, well, then the Farseer can get in. And then, you know, that's how the melee micro is supposed to work. When one thing's getting hit, you can micro it out and allow the other one to get in. But as you see here, I would say I've now, I fed him two wolves. Look like two wolves were given to my opponent, and I killed one militia. So we have a nice little split damage happening on the Rifleman here, and this is another interesting move by me that I like in terms of we're splitting up our forces, right? So we actually know that the rifles are going to come here, so we do a little split on purpose here. We have the Farseer and the wolves are doing one thing, and the grunts are actually doing another. So this is the sort of micro decisions you want. Now my opponent is getting chunked for a lot of damage, and that Holy Light, which target are you going to heal? Well, you heal the peasant, but now that means I get a kill on the rifle, right? So this is how, and we summon the wolves there so we don't get that kill, and now the paladin is just trying to keep his peasants alive. It makes sense. You're going to tier 2, so every peasant kill there is permanent. But this is where we want to be versus Paladin Rifle, right? We're already teching. Our build is, you know, trying to have a reasonably timed tech window, even though we're going grunts, not your standard headhunters. Now, the biggest fear here is that we just keep feeding rifles, but yeah, at this point, my opponent rightfully just has to run. This is too many grunts. You don't have enough HP. If I could go back in time for my opponent, maybe build an Arcane Vault here right now, right? I know you got the resources for it. And it's definitely going to be needed. Yep, there you go. So, Arcane Vault, that's definitely what we need to do. And here is, I'd say, the sweet spot of this sort of play. You need to know when to creep and know when to not creep. Bad lightning shield for my opponent there, just taking all sorts of damage. But I think this is a fine chance to creep. To be honest, the whole melee force doesn't need to be here creeping, right? Like, I think wolves would be nice to skill be scouting and a pestering, because I don't see what's going here. Let's just be real. I don't see, so I'm just assuming he's still holding behind his base there waiting to heal so I can get in this cheekiness. But turns out it's a perfect time to come in with the chain lightning. I think if I was any faster I could have got a real kill there. But, you know, that is a really well-positioned chain lightning. That does give me, you just have to pour it. Honestly, yeah, you just have to pour it because your riflemen were about to get grunted. Now, this is a point where I have my own TP, so I'm not going to let this stand, right? I think most people would call that this is the time to force it, because we need to confirm these kills, and we need to stop this scroll. I hope we can do that, right? We're definitely trying to kill this, yep. We still don't have mana, so at this point we just need to try to get as many kills as we can. The grunts can do their damage there. I need to get in this TP. I summon wolves, get in the TP just so we can do damage. So you see what we're attempting to do there, right? That was a really nice early game for the orc, aka me. We're ahead of the paladin player, and because we're tier 2, we're eventually going to see long rifles from my opponent, but you can't yet because you need to refill your rifleman numbers. So whether you're going headhunters or grunts, the key to defeating Paladin Rifle is this early aggression that, you know, slows down their creeping, hobbles the mana, really reliant on the bloodmage to get the mana back, and of course we come in with the Fire Lord. So we can't see what's happening here just for the sake of it. We're making this decision to attack off of the back of this timing, and the timing is you get your Fire Lord and your first walker. Pretty good, right? Turns out a bunch of grunts are not bad when you have Spirit Link on them, and you also get the Berserker Strength. I should be getting a damage upgrade, but I'm not. But this is an interesting situation. If I had Shamans or Ensnare, we get some sort of like lock. And because we don't have the Naga Sea Witch, we don't have the Cold Arrows. So, you know, it's at this point up to preference. It's not even close to being meta on which hero to pick. I'm trying to getting a surround here, but that's really unfortunate, right? Like just with better micro, I get 2 kills of the rifles there, but whatever. We're still slowing down the Paladin Rifle, and this is a nice move by me. So I'm creeping on here, but I purposely send my grunts up because, look, I want it to look like this. I want my opponent to think that the whole grunt, you know, like brigade is still there. But in fact, it's not that. This whole side is creeping. So there's a little tiny move there to keep the grunt kind of watch. I think allows me to get in a little bit of creeping advantage. My opponent goes back here to finish creeping. And now, yeah, Farseer doesn't need to be here. Farseer should maybe be right here harassing. That would be really dope. But it is the second best thing to just let the Firelord solo creep. So you see that here. We're just letting the Firelord solo creep. And the solo creeping for the Firelord, the advantage is you get Incinerate, and you eventually get Incinerate level 2. Now, I think Incinerate level 2 is really good because the Paladin is like sometimes the weak point in this strategy, as in when the Paladin takes damage, that the human player then has to do something that requires effort. You can't just like Holy Light it or banish it because, well, then you're just going to get like a Chain Lightning or something. You can't banish the Paladin to try to save it because you have the Farseer here, right? So I actually really like Incinerate just as an ability, and you're going to see throughout this video the Firelord, you know, I love the hero, but I also think it's just very meta against all these, you know, heal-based melee. You know, every single game has either a Death Knight or a Crypt Lord or these big strength heroes that are currently doing well in the game, aka the Paladin as well. I just think the Firelord is really well positioned versus them. So anyways, we see now it's Creep Wars, right? World of Creepcraft. But look at my creeping compared to my opponents. We do have a little bit of an edge. We got the Firelord to 3. My opponent could be getting the Bloodmage to 3 if you just had a little cleaner creeping. The Paladin could be home getting clarities. And here it is, Bloodlust. So you may have seen the Spirit Lodge, you may have seen the Torrent Totem, but Bloodlust is definitely the solution to not having these grunts useless. Now I'm going to be real right now. Here is when I want to fight. Looking back on this game, if I had Orb of Lightning here, maybe I get some, you know, purges. Orb of Lightning Bloodlust is really good. But I don't do that. So I do have map superiority right there. You cannot fight me, but my opponent's getting griffins. You know, all Paladin Rifle players have been like seeing the Taurens and eventually evolving. You can't just go Paladin Rifle. So yeah, my opponent's getting griffins, but I don't know that. I'm going to be real with you guys. I am caught flat-footed here. All right? This whole game I was caught absolutely flat-footed. And wow, this whole time I've been so large. Here, guys, don't worry, don't worry. Smaller. Where were we? Okay, so as I was saying, Bloodlust is a really good way to kind of push your, you know, mid-game grunt army into doing something. This is a suicide attack, make no mistake. I hope I have pillage. By the looks of it, I do. And this attack, consider me knocking on the front door of the Paladin player. You know how they like to do that to you? Well, I'm doing it to them. I'm saying this is my power spike. I am deciding to attack you. And you see things get a little interesting here. Like, first of all, check out how long that farm lives. Uh-oh, Griffin. So if you're an Orc player, you know this feeling. Caught flat-footed, your opponent has Griffins, farther in the attack than you thought you had more time. Yeah, I guess it is 12 minutes, and you're getting wrecked, right? Now, every time I try to run, my opponent like chases me, so I have to decide to do something. So I decided to do this. I take all of my units, or some of my units that can attack, you know, air, and I send them here. Then I have these units kind of try to get this flank, because I need to do something against my opponents running away. Now, unfortunately, the shaman gets hit there, but this seems to be working, right? I seem to be a little bit of army control, but I really want to still fight here. Like, I know I'm caught flat-footed against the Griffins, but here's the thing. I am keenly aware if I just run here, my opponent's just going to get more Griffins, and my Taurens and Grunts are going to get more countered, right? So you can watch here. Yes, it's a bit of a runaway, but you have to stay. Like, you can't actually go. Yeah, you have to fight because there are still rifles to be killed, and every second that these bloodlusted grunts aren't like attacking, they're just losing value. So I'm really deciding to push this, like. And I'm glad I'm doing it right with a little bit of more care. We get that Paladin kill, but we do have the Ankh of Reincarnation. We like to see it too. Griffins not auto-attacking, but uh-oh, now we've reached terminal mass. These grunts had a death sentence the moment the Griffin Averys were built and not answered for. But, you know, there are still riflemen to kill. My Tauren knows this. So does these dire wolves. A little late on the drain there, and subsequently late on the soul burn, but the bloodmage is out of the game for a little bit. Now we have level 2 incinerate. It's doing damage on this Griffin Rider, you know, stacking damage, but we do switch targets on the Paladin. It would be good if we don't switch targets. A little bit of miss micro there with the Firelord, but we see there's just so much going on here, but it's kinda not bad. Like, we're checking our opponent. We don't have any you know, like TPs. We're keenly aware that we have an Ankh of Reincarnation on our Firelord. We're just deciding to push this. Could I have given the Ankh to my Farseer? Yes. But now at this point, okay, I have both of your heroes dead, and like, is my opponent gonna leave, right? Like, wouldn't that be nice? But no, you will see what happens. So my Firelord reses, and now I guess it's Firelord versus the Griffins, right? We get some level 3 Soulburn, maybe? No, it looks like it's only level 2 Soulburn. Yet level 3 Incinerate actions. That's really stacking the damage fast. It's really good single target damage. You see how the Soulburn netted that kill. So we're just really doing a lot of damage to my opponent's like infrastructure, and it's finally over. No, it's not over. We kill the farm. There you go, Blaze Fury. I'm glad you left that farm undetected. So, you know, amidst all this, we have a Witch Doctor, and if I was wise, I'd be trying to upgrade, or at least put a ward here. But no, we are getting chased. Ouch, Tauren, look how much damage this takes. You do not want to be getting hit by Griffins doing at least 80 damage per. That's a lot. So we do have the Witch Doctor Sentry Ward, I hope. Oh my, what is... Okay, so this is just an AWOL Witch Doctor, unfortunately. But look at the game state right now. We have a Firelord level 5, and this is rough. My opponent could just destroy my burrows right now. It's a misplay to not have Fortified. At this point, we have so much lumber. Thankfully, that Purge allows us to get a kill. So, you know, Firelord really doing some work here. Could Naga have potentially ended the game? potentially, but let's see what my opponent is doing. Oh, whoa, the Witch Doctor getting a kill. Can the Witch Doctor get that solo unmicroed militia kill? Wow, well, you know what? How many times does a Witch Doctor net a single kill? I mean, you didn't get any ward value, but at least we got that militia kill. Love to see it. So I decided to do some creeping of my expansion because, let me guess, we need a tiny Great Hall. Yeah, we even sell the Claws of Attack. You know we're desperate for gold. And yeah, oh, we kill the Tauren. Why do we kill the Tauren right there? Did we need food? Or do we have res? Wow, we just killed our Tauren. I suppose because we knew it was just going to be food for the Griffins. And we don't have master training. And to heal that Tauren with the Solve was just out of the question. Look at that. Yep, I'm transferring to a purely anti-air army. So my opponent is no longer Paladin Rifles. It is Paladin Griffin Riders, which is, you know, a much scarier combo because once you do get to the point where your Griffins have devotion aura, well, let's say these bats aren't nearly as effective, but let's see what happens. You know, I'm aware of this tech switch, obviously, and we're trying to see if we can win the fight. Exploding here, yeah, not the best idea. I'm just trying to, I guess, jockey for position. My Firelord does do a lot in this game state. It would be nice to have Orb of Lightning perhaps, but no, you want to get Incinerate value. No lava spawns this game, though. A Tome of Retraining lava spawns into Orb of Lightning on the Blaze Fury, not out of the question. Certainly not out of the question. They will just get focused down though, so how valuable is it really? Speed up a bit to see what we're doing. So both players are passive, trying to creep the entire map. It's pretty much all crept, and the gold mines are running low. He scouts my expansion, so my opponent scouts the expansion there, but I have the tiny right here. So I'm trying to scout what's going on. I see the wolves, and I decide, okay, now is the time. Yep, tiny it up. The perks of Orc Tier 3, right? You can ignore that Tier 2 expo if things were going well, and if you do survive because things were going well, hopefully you hedged your bets and went Tier 3 anyway, so you can get that expansion. So now that I have the expansion, I'm favored, right? I'm just kind of fast forwarding to see. Now that I have the expansion, I'm definitely favored. Oh, ouch. Okay, the Windwalker just destroyed. Unfortunately, the bats do not go off until the scroll comes out, so we get one Griffin kill, and this whole bunch are weakened. Could use another bat explosion. Oh, but the Holy Knight. Good job by the Paladin player here. So yeah, Bloodlust doing a lot of work actually, and so are the bats, right? And overall, the very disruptive forest. The Farseer is going to have to get microed back out, and we don't have much or any upgrades on these headhunters, so you can literally see how much armor each of them has. It's so hard to kill. Geez, so I have a... Oh, this is a cheeky play. I saw that low HP unit. I was like, ooh, can the bat? Maybe? Possibly? Nah. Oh, so annoying. Barely lived. But that's fine. We have an expansion. That was an accidental TP. I remember this game as fresh as yesterday now. Do you see what actually happened? Yeah, I was trying to use salves. And this is now 21-minute game. I accidentally TP. Oh, that was so frustrating, guys. Just money out the window when money is the most valuable resource here right now because the gold mines collapsed. But we are positioned well. We have the expansion, so we know. Let's not overcomplicate this. Let's just protect it. Yeah. Let's just protect the expansion. So we decide to do that by creeping upwards, trying to get to the shop. And who do we meet into? Yes, our opponent. Not a hero focus fire, though. So thankfully we have the potions of healings set. But it is a lot of hero focus, you know. Air can do that. Just fly right over the ground. But thankfully we just have a pretty nice ability to change damage. So the healing potion looks like that was used. Oh, this bat could be nice. Okay, the bat was all nice. Whoops. Level 6. Okay, we got level 6 on the Firelord. The Firelord really is just doing a lot of damage. Scroll is pretty good. Did I attack the wolf there? Oh, the Paladin's so close to death. This is a slobber knocker, as they say. Oh, Another epic bat. Nice. Don't want to attack that one. Get the splash damage kill. So the fact that I have an expansion, my opponent doesn't during this whole thing is very, you know, it's suited well for me. I can just simply rebuild, but every time they use a unit, it has to be healed. It has to be meticulously protected. But uh-oh, this doesn't look like meticulous protection. That Paladin's gonna get it. Yep, getting chain lightninged. But so does my Firelord almost. So scary. Go Firelord. Go Fireseer. Nice bat. Nice. The bats are good. And I'm doing a good job kind of roping my opponent around here. You know, every second of stalling is just me more mining and getting items. And you can see this. This is a repeating process. Getting some more items, healing, getting bats, headhunters, walkers. Also, a funny thing, these peons fighting for the supremacy of the gold tower. Just put up a watchtower just to ensure the victory. Definitely need to get some invuln potion. Yeah, invuln potion is smart. I don't have any items, so this is a little tough. It's going to have to be the last fight. Here it comes, guys, because if this expansion falls, we're equal. But I can't make it fall, so yep, what are we doing? We're fighting. So who are we soul burning first? That was pretty nice how I let the bat get hit by the volleys first and then exploded. So at this point, it's just too much damage. You know, the final D, okay, we'll switch to someone else, right? Just so much damage there. And I do get the invuln potion to break the drain, which is nice. Yeah, the invuln there was a good tempo swing. Didn't expect it coming. Nice. Oh, felt good. Even after Orange Bird. Nah, level 7. Hey, that one felt good. One more game and we're going to see what my human opponent does. A Paladin Rifle again. So, you know, we focus specifically on the Paladin Rifle strategy because, you know, if you're grinding like me or trying to climb either on the new BattleNet post the patch, I will try BattleNet with some earnesty after seeing on the patch notes they've made some MMR adjustments, but also just on the new season of W3 Champions Ladder. I believe we're on season 22. You're going to face Paladin Rifle. See, this is the faster variant that doesn't wait to creep with the Rifleman, which is, as you see here, superior, you know. Able to creep faster, and I'm just on my way, but still not there fast enough, so you can learn just a little bit of contrast. But what does happen though is you don't have the tower, you don't have that scout tower, so we're splitting up the damage as one does, right? That's 3 different peasants that are getting dealt damage, and we're okay with that. That's 1 peasant down. The shriek of a dead peasants forced the human player's attention back, and then we, you know, summon the wolves. So this is what we want. We want the paladin to no additional EXP, and we actually like our decision to creep here because we have the headhunter. This is a pretty fast creep camp. You can nab it real quick, and that's exactly what we do. So just get the Cloak of Shadows. By the way, slowly starting to realize that's like best in slot versus the bloodmage. You can just hide to stop the mana drain. So kind of nice versus that. And you see it's very important not to get killed. Look how far the Murloc Huntsman has ran. Incredible. But it's really good to not let anyone kill your wolves, especially any paladins. So we're going to see it happen. Don't die, wolf, please. Yes, red HP wolves is the sign of a good game. You see, so you healed that paladin. Now we have a target. We have both of those as targets. The wolf still microed well. I want to kill that militia, so we go for it. One more spear gets the militia. Militia down. So we get a militia, and now we heal another rifle, so that gives us a target. We target the other one. We target 2. Have you noticed this? These 2 are killing this one, and these 2 are killing this one. Split damage. The wolves here are split damage. You see the split damage, very important. At this point, I don't mind letting the wolves die. You see I'm making a choice to push for damage here because I have 2 rifle. That's like the checkmate situation. Do you see how we set that up? We weren't always focusing the same target, and because we've been splitting our targets, the paladin is really pushed here in a tough way. Now this is when it kind of gets out of control here, right? I could hide here. I could maybe not lose this headhunter, but we do decide to eventually TP, right? We lose the headhunter, we get 1 more rifle, and we TP. So this feels good to me. If we didn't kill that wolf, the Paladin is still level 1, but it's still fine. You're never going to deny the Paladin all levels. It's really about where your Farseer is and their Rifleman count. It's far easier to mass Headhunters than it is to mass Riflemen. So this is perfect. You have 1 on Rifleman. This is not part of the strategy that you want, right? You don't want this to be like, you know, creeping on empty here. And check this out, I even stole your little Murloc there, so doubly effective pressure there. But we do decide to play it more safe. We don't have a Voodoo Lounge, so we're not going to keep up the pressure. Now this is interesting because most of the time when you're trying to go this build, I just go straight to tier 3 there. I haven't picked up a panda yet, right? Haven't picked up a panda yet because I don't think I was there food-wise. I'm still making the burrow. I wasn't a little late on my burrow, but I'm glad that I just teched immediately. You see here, this Headhunter is going to get the panda. My Paladin opponent is just doing what they can to amass the Rifleman. Yep, you got to put in a lot of resources into Rifleman. And take note, because my opponent lost so many resources, you can't just so freely be upgrading, right? Like I think most of the time the upgrades as well should be at least 1-1 now, but you've had to adjust some of that. Panda is on his way to creep. So you have a level 3, which is kind of unique here because I had a more bloodlusty kill count early game. The Farseer has way more levels in the first game. You see, this is the strength of the Paladin Rifle, how fast and how enduring its creeping is. Just no worry whatsoever about losing units, so all units can do max DPS, but we have to do the same thing. Drunken Haze is pretty good, allows the panda and the wolves to do some damage here, and it's important that the Farseer is not getting experience here. We're trying to power creep the panda, so this is about power creeping the panda. It's really important the Farseer is just out of range here, and now we lose 1 Headhunter, unfortunately, but we're at level 2 panda, and where's my opponent doesn't even have a bloodmage yet, so we're ahead, and we're going to do the same thing here. Now, does the Farseer stay? There is, okay, looks like the Farseer is staying. There is kind of a critical mass point on experience on the Farseer where like level 2 Chain Lightning's worth it, but looks like this is timed quite well by me. I'm deciding to run away, maybe get some clarities and mana potions here as I get the level 3 here. Yeah, it'd be a nice level 3. So great creeping by me, and I can see this game. I mean, if I could ensure somehow every game against Paladin Rifle had a level 3 panda and a level 3 Farseer by the time your opponent gets the blood mage, I'd do it. But at this point, we're getting a shredder to ensure our late game. You sometimes have wood problems when you get tier 3 and you're going the Torrent Totem because you also want the tiny Great Hall and all that. So creeping gives you gold. This is something that like it's obvious when you say it out loud, but I really can't, you know, stress how you can build strategies around that. So say for example, you know, this creeping right here, right? I am getting, let's see how much gold it gives. 81 gold. That's actually crazy to think that if you creep this camp here, you get like on average what, like 200 gold maybe? No, that's 100 gold for just those two. So maybe, and then you sell the item, which is like 200 gold. So, you know, if you want to expand, you really just have to think of the lumber. So if you can ensure you have a nice lumber drop-off point like that, and then you go and creep, all of a sudden before you know it, I'm in really nice tiny Great Hall territory. Or at least in this case, looks like that means what? I get a bunch of wood heavy upgrades, reinforced, pulverized. I would really like it if I instead went tiny Great Hall here, but maybe I'm gunning for it now. Tiny Great Hall is kind of my latest obsession, is why you go quick tier 3, but it is kind of awesome to see this Farseer with 28 plus damage. Wow, okay, we just have to ooh and ah over the Farseer auto attacks. So much damage. Look how much damage this Farseer is doing. That's crazy. So we get the Wand of the Wind, allows the Blood Mage to give my panda some mana back. I can eventually get in that breath here, and you see my opponent's really hero focusing. It's not the first time my panda's been low, but this is not the best mana drain situation, but a little slow on the Wand of the Winds here. I would prefer if the Cloak of Shadows just hide. Just hide right here. Use the Cloak of Shadows. But one Tauren and this Orb of Lightning. Orb of Lightning is really good on the Farseer or any ranged hero. Sometimes when you don't go Incinerate, I really like Orb of Lightning on the Fire Lord. But let's just, you know, the way this game's going now, quick recap, my opponent just doesn't really have a chance. I'd say now that I'm just like hero levels 4 and 3, that's level 2, Chain Lightning. Now we get the Tiny Great Hall. Do you see how useful the Shredder is here? I don't need to worry about lumber at all. And because the Tiny Great Hall comes up, I can immediately send all my peons there. But my opponent knows, sees the tier 3, is like, okay, I have to do something, decides to try to attack. But, uh-oh. I don't think this is going to end well. As a fact, I know it's not going to end well, right? Yep. Locked and loaded. So this is a bait. You always think the blood mage is low, but no, it's not. It's because you have the paladin here. Now, odd decision to heal that rifle, but this is tough. There's nothing really left for my opponent to creep, and they need to just expand. But for every moment that my opponent doesn't deal with me, I'm just building more Taurens. I guess I'm getting Witch Doctors at one point. Wonder what the Spirit Lodge is doing. We're getting the heal scrolls. Nice. Always good to have a mana potion. Oh, nice. Drunken Haze. You know, the move speed reduction on Drunken Haze is actually a pretty good mana drain by my opponent here. And I don't think I get the surround. Oh, very unfortunate. Maybe I should have used a Drunken Haze there to secure the surround, but at this point, when you're this far ahead, I'll even give myself a pass on some of these micro mistakes. So let's go. We got another big fight. The panda is just getting absolutely mana drained. So right, so oh no, you've negated the strength of my mana. Well, no, it's because we learn from the pros, guys. We always keep the mana pots. Always keep the mana pots on your heroes, right? So even when you're getting drained, you can do this. It's very important. Now look at all this excess mana you have, right? You would think that means a huge win, but like, it's just too much mana. My opponent's so greedy. 500 mana and you still die. Unfortunately, you had the invuln potion, you had the holy lights, just a little too hungry on the mana drain. I think it was just too afraid of getting Breath of Fire. He needed me to have low mana, but the Fire Lord as well from my opponent. Little too late. Had the expansion. Happy to see it. Happy to see it. Alrighty, so the Paladin Rifle games continue. And this time, the old Durazion is doing a war mill, which means headhunters, right? You want to build the war mill before your barracks. So right now you can see I'm at like, what, probably after my Farseer is done, and after this next peon, you want to eventually get up to 17 food. 17 food is kind of the time in which I know you can build 2 headhunters off of the same burrow. That's kind of a shorthand that I like to go in my head whenever I'm playing. Go at 17 food and you know you can build 2 headhunters. But it looks like we're actually going a second burrow instead of that voodoo lounge. So we're not even going to have to worry about the food. We can actually confidently build peons past so we don't slow down any of our headhunter production. You see now we're at 19 food, but the burrow helps us out there. So what does the Paladin Rifle player like to do? Well, once the first rifle comes out, they militia creep. Now I've even seen some Paladin Rifle players do the Rifleman first, and then they creep, and then the Paladin comes out first, but it looks like my opponent went a variation that allows me to get there first. So this is really what you're trying to do. This is the headhunter style of play. You know how before I had the grunts, and it was kind of, we're trying to do, you know, split damage? It's very similar with headhunters, but if you've played Heroes of the Storm, I like to think that playing against Paladin Rifles in this early game is like trying to pad your Heroes of the Storm damage stats. As in, you're not trying to do meaningful damage. You're just trying to do damage. You're trying to damage anything. You're trying to damage anything. Because the whole trick about Paladin Rifle is nothing is a kill target, because the Paladin Rifle can always Holy Light it. So you have to damage everything until the Paladin eventually chooses to heal one of them, and then you can focus something that has half HP, right? So I do get the claws of attack there, and it's nice, and you saw that my wolves were doing some damage there, so my opponent's losing lumber, and the peasant's weak. But it looks like we are deciding to brawl, right? Wolves are at their best right here, but we don't want to feed them to the Paladin Rifle opponent ever. Whenever the rifles are doing damage to the wolf, you kind of want to be sure that your headhunters are doing damage too. So we are deciding to keep pushing it here because, you know, this is just easy free damage because our headhunters are positioned. So we do feed a wolf there, but we get a peasant kill, so we don't mind that one bit. There should be about another cast of wolves coming up soon. More split damage, which is good. We're really pushing the micro of my opponent here. You see that we do have some low HP peasants, which this wolf is trying to threaten here, right? So that wolf's trying to threaten this. We do need to keep our micro. It looks like we're going to lose, but we get one wolf there. So unfortunately, we were so busy trying to get that kill, we slowed down production of our headhunters. We just caught it, and we did eventually feed 2 wolves, so the Paladin is level 2. But if you've noticed, we still haven't ever let my opponent kind of leave the kind of brawl area. It looks like my Paladin opponent decides to just leave. They say, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to start to get my opponent away from my base, and sure, more power to you. I don't know why you would choose to fight me in the open field over near the militia, but yeah, look at that. That's the perfect wolf micro there, taking full advantage of the lack of long rifles there. You see, just as long as the wolves don't die, that's fine by me. We're just trying to really do all sorts of damage. Oh, the wolves there don't want to die, right? Oh, look, a bunch of micro here, but we need to eventually just encircle these riflemen. So you eventually just outnumber your opponent. I am tier 2 at this point, so I'm putting a lot of focus onto my micro here to win, but you eventually need to start creeping your panda. So this is the other meta strat, right? So I've saved all these headhunters' lives, and my reward for saving them is to be able to drunken haze creep something big like this, right? Wow, my Farseer looks for the Paladin Rifle player. So I don't know where they are here. This headhunter could be so pro and scout for me there, but I'm not really thinking about it. I also have to creep this, so you can see I'm trying not to lose any headhunters. Thankfully I don't, and I'm able to get this mana stone, which is good. Maybe a suspect use of drunken haze there. If you're going to do it, you hit those 2, right? But we do a drunken haze just to get some more damage mitigation, and the Farseer is unfortunately without a target, so I know I need to do something quick. So I decide to creep. Yeah, right. I don't know where my Paladin opponent is, so I might as well get some value and take creeps from him because I know my opponent's going to creep here anyway. And look, turns out it was the right thing to do because my Paladin opponent sees me and immediately runs, and I need to get the cancel here. So I get the hits, I cancel the heals, and then I just go back to creeping. So my opponent probably assumes there is a whole nest of headhunters around there, so didn't want to fight that, but I was able to get a nice little nab with the Farseer and creep level 2. And what are we doing? Yeah, just creeping the panda. So we're creeping the panda and just kind of keeping this area of the map secured by the Farseer. We don't want to get creep jacked or anything. I would say maybe it would be appropriate to summon some wolves here for the sake of this camp and then run away. Nope, looks like I'm deciding to stay here. Might as well get level 2. Nope, good. So more clean creeping. You don't want to give Farseer any of this juicy experience. Just get your panda immediately to level 3, and just like that, panda level 3. So how good does that feel? We have panda level 3, and you know, our Farseer is not too shabby as well, just from playing kind of a scrappy early game. And you know, we've kind of out-leveled the Paladin, or at least we've negated what was so effective about the strategy. What was the reason orcs were losing so much when the strategy first came out is because like we weren't creeping as fast as the Paladin was, right? The Paladin was just able to creep so efficiently, but now, you know, you can see the way this game goes, you know, by the time they're going in for this death strike, look, from the perspective of my opponent, this usually wins the game. How many times have my orc brothers fall into this exact same thing? Doesn't matter how good your early game is, you just have a scroll of the beast, scroll of healing, all the shop stuff, and here's the push. But thankfully, even I have a low HP, it's that panda. Panda can come in and do some damage. Feels great. Now, unfortunately, we all saw the patch patch notes, right? It's going to be a lot harder to pull that off. So you already have to use your scroll of healing. And where is my panda? Well, he's actually coming for the flank. Yeah. Nice flank. Use the health stone. Get in there. Really nice. You know what? Even in the new patch, that would have been a nice aimed breath of fire. And you see here how my panda's always kind of near the edge here, because I need to be ready with Boots of Speed to break the link. Boots of Speed's very important. It allows the panda to do stuff like this and get out of the drain range very quickly. So this went from being the push that kills us to, like, really? The panda made short work of this army, and now that little, like, militia was just free experience for this nest, hornet's nest of headhunters I have here. And yeah, my opponent here is just getting out DPS'd, you know, and it feels great. We even have the solo walker here for that, you know, untouchability. It's so annoying. You could even be a body blocking here with the Spirit Walker. If I was better, I'd be using the Spirit Walker to body block. But yeah, we're just going for it. So this is a real nice game. And we even have the peon here for what? The Voodoo Lounge. Yeah, come on. This is how you end the game. This is super clean. So we're just going to fast forward here because, you know, do we kill the bloodmage here? We should. I mean, the bloodmage, we shouldn't allow it to live, but we do. The bloodmage does get out surrounded there. He's taking a bunch of damage, but we have a bunch of headhunters. It's not good for the bloodmage. It's still not good for the bloodmage. Yep. Nope, still not bad for the bloodmage. He's tanking a lot. You're going to get holy lit again. Well, we had to save the paladin, so look at that. Blood Mage lives. So we're trying to save the paladin. Don't want that to die at all. Okay, we'll have all of our headhunters hitting, so that's fine. Kill the rifleman. Now this is unfortunate. Look at this. Too slow. We had the potion too slow. So, I mean, if there was one way to lose this game, it would be to lose that panda, but I'll just spoiler alert this. This game is still under my firm control. Even though we lose the panda there, there's just too slow on the potion. We just have way too many headhunters. Yep. At this point, we can just straight up fight you. Your resources have been depleted. Nothing you can do. And now, I still have the Voodoo Lounge here, so my Farseer can just close it out with the Mana Potion, Clarity, immediately use the potion, summon the wolves, maybe Chain Lightning. Yeah, GG's. So, love to see it, Love to see it. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching the video, right? We have a whole slew of videos coming up because we got new seasons of W3 Champions coming up, as well as this PTR patch note that's got me thinking, the Archer Hippogriff dismount buff is so cool, right? I've actually been facing some of that on the ladder, so to think it's getting better. Anyways, if you liked this video, if you like the channel, please subscribe, all of that, and I'll see you to the next one. Peace.